Hello there, and welcome to Sith Happens, a Star Wars podcast. I am Eric the Dadalorian, and welcome to today's show. Today, I am joined by two guys who have more Star Wars toys than my children do. They have their own OnlyFans with action figures called Only Black Series, and they are the Star to Myth Fighters. We got Black Series Daily-esque, and I am not a committee. Welcome, guys.
I like to think of myself as the Bren to your Doc, and I want to note that the reason why you buy more Star Wars toys than your children is because you stole them from them. So
you might not be wrong. So.
Yeah, for those that don't know by now, I am who Eric refers to as Matty Ice, otherwise known as Black Series Daily Desk on Instagram, where you can go and see some of my wonderful photos.
Yes, absolutely. You got some of the ones you've had over the last week or so have been absolutely killer. Definitely got to show some of those off. We'll drop them in the chat and everything in this. But we're also joined by our good brother Anthony coming back in. How you doing, man?
Hey, thank you so much. Doing great. Happy to be back here tonight, guys. Thanks so much for having me back.
No, dude, we're happy to have you on, especially as a guest for our first guest for a post Acolyte breakdown. Which we just all three of us just got done watching episode 3, season 3, jumping ahead a little bit.
We're just so excited.
I'm just so excited. All three of us just got done watching episode 3. We're actually all texting each other leading up to it, pretty excited, and I think we all got really great things to talk about from this episode. But before we get too much into this, this is for all you watching. This is your spoiler alert. So if you have not watched Acolyte episode 3 yet, we'd recommend you go do that first and then come back to this. But yeah, guys, so let's just jump right into it. I loved it. I thought the whole episode being a flashback was actually really great because you don't see full episodes be a flashback typically.
I traditionally am not the hugest fan of episodes that are like a full thing like this. Like I think a lot of times shows will have like the dream episode or like the what happened episode before the finale. With that said, I really enjoyed it with this. I think it's a mystery, right? Overall as a show. And I don't think I know. And they gave us, we'll get into this because I know we all kind of shot over some thoughts to each other before. I think that we all want to know what the mystery is. They set up Kelnaka excellently last episode. They layered him into this episode. And I think that they left some things that were a part of the mystery within this flashback. They gave you what you're supposed to know. You kind of knew you had a rough approximation.
What they gave us is an incomplete story, but a full picture at the same time. So
they're filtering stuff in little by little.
Picture of what's going on.
And I think that there's little mysteries coming out of this kind of big picture that I think are going to get uncovered as time goes on, which I really liked about it, that it felt like a flashback that told you enough, but to really corroborate the story the Jedi are telling to May. You're getting the version that May remembers. You're not necessarily getting, you have one point of view. The narrator of this episode is Osha. My bad, not May. The narrator of this episode is Osha.
How many times do you think we're going to do that, mixing them up?
You're throwing me off there. I'm like, wait, what are you talking about, dude?
Yeah, feel free. we just debunked it was Osha. I don't know if you do that next week.
Start calling him Moshe. It's the two of them.
Moshe.
Moesha.
Mosh pit. But yeah, no, the episode itself was great. When it opened up, firstly, the visuals for Brentalk were fantastic. Like it was visually absolutely stunning. What was CGI versus what wasn't was actually, it was, obviously like the creatures and stuff were CGI, but like the nature in there and everything looks so freaking good. And then the mountain for the coven and everything, it was so beautifully done.
That looked incredible. And did you see that planet behind it as well?
Yes.
Like the vertical rings going on.
That gave me major vibes from like how Jedi Fallen Order was, because it's kind of like that when you go to Dathomir, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that that's interesting that you make that point because of the parallel between the Sect of Witches and the Dathomiri, because it's kind of exists in its own little microcosmic part of the galaxy that's outside of the Republic, so to speak. So it's sort of
it's funny you say that too, because even my wife was watching it with me for a little bit before she fell asleep, and she even commented like, "Do you think that they are aware that this is the Force, or that they have no idea?" I'm like, "Well, at this point now, obviously, we saw that they know who the Jedi are, so yeah, they do know." But I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, they could have at one point at least been completely unaware."
Yeah, and I mean, I think that we saw the different sects of the Night Sisters and their approach to magic with CK. And I think like there's multiple sects of forget sects of religions, multiple religions. That's what these all are that interpret things differently. So like exactly, they may have discovered it, and that's their perception of what it is, or it seems even like have been fouled by it in some way, and that's why there's that natural disdain for what they're essentially approximating as the selfishness of the Force is what they're really talking about within that.
I will basing it off an experience that they had at one point or another. This is now our view, and this is why we're going to do the opposite.
Yeah, exactly.
I will say, I don't think that they are like night witches. Like, I don't think they're associated with the Dathomiri per se. I think it's, like you said, how different religions interpret different things. I think it's like a very big nod to the Night Sisters and everything like that. But it's the same. I think it's, like you said, something along that lines, but very differently. And I actually loved how they portrayed this one, because it had a very tribal feel to it, and it was different from the Night Witches of Dathomir, but it had like a very tribal, primal feel to it, and I love the way they portrayed it.
Yeah.
So, go ahead.
It's also interesting that this part of the galaxy seems to, if we're correct about that Fallen Order thing, it seems to have its own sort of version of the Force.
Yeah,
and I think that's a very interesting thought there, because if it's that far out there, right, then the discovery there, or if it's multiple planets, who taught them?
Yeah.
When did that come into play? You got like more than 10,000 years since the Force kind of reared its head through the Rakatan in this part of the universe. So interesting to me. It's like, well, how did it spread? If you want to go like Dune, the Bene Gesserit kind of spreading the word throughout the galaxy. How did this spread?
But yeah, it was really great, and the way they interpret the Force and everything, and I love how they brought in the thread, which was that nod once again to the Dathomiri, and it was, and I think this is one of those things where it's going to piss a lot of people off, because it does involve a religious type of view on it, where religion is viewed very differently by all people, people differently all around the world, basically. And that's kind of like where they brought this in, and you can see it with the way they view the thread or the Force, whatever you want to call it. And I thought just the way they kind of portrayed it was really, really cool, because it was something we've seen something like it in Clone Wars, but not quite like this, and I really, really enjoyed the way they portrayed it.
Yeah, I did too. I agree. They did it really well, and in a sense that it felt the same but different all at once, and you know what it is as the viewer, but it was an impactful way to present it for that period.
Yeah, absolutely.
No, 100%. And like, to the point of it pissing people off, I made the mistake of going to a few threads while I was waiting for 20 minutes for us to start doing this. And like the complaints, this is supposed to be a controversial episode. And like, they're like, well, they're lesbian witches who think the Force is a woman. And I'm like, first of all, never said the Force is a woman. Second of all, and we can go out of order here because I think we're just talking. Yeah. Let's talk about the fact that there was some form of immaculate conception through the Force that happened there. Yes. Like, I'm more interested in that than two women kissing. It's like they literally just gave you an Anakin situation, and there's some moron like, they're throwing gay stuff in our face. And I'm like, what? Would it have been better if it was a man and woman? It was a warlock and a witch? Like, but regardless of that, let's get back to what's important there. That is insane. Like, what a thing to bring back. And then to think about the... go on it. Yeah.
There was, I'm not going to say it was direct lines from the Phantom Menace going on in here, but the correlation of like some of the dialogue there between Osha and her mother there at the end, where she's telling her, you know, go on, go off, but it's like that. It's the same feel as when Shmi is sending Anakin off.
Yeah, and also like similar age. Like I don't think I think that's you're right. It's poetry. It rhymes.
Similar freaking test stick, you know,
yeah,
cup,
exactly.
whatever.
Yeah.
There's so much symmetry between, you know, like how the original Star Wars fan, or like how the prequels and the or the original trilogy are within this, actually, because, you know, you have the conception through the Force with it, and then you also have the twins, which I think the symmetry between the two is amazing, and I think they're portraying it particularly great, honestly, you know, especially with May coming in as that dark side of everything, and Osha as that light side of it. And I think that's going to come to a big head at some point in the series, and I am super excited to see how that goes. Actually,
yeah. I didn't even think of the light and the dark, but I think it's the familiarity that feels different, like what Ant's saying, right? Like it's a nice treat.
It really is. I still, you know, like, you know, we've said from the beginning, you know, people are all entitled to their own opinions, but I do not know why people are freaking out about this show still. It's been great so far.
Well, I'm freaking out.
Yeah, I'm freaking out in a good way.
No, sorry, corny as hell. But I wasn't on last week, obviously. But after I watched 1 and 2, like I'm like, excuse me, I need to pick my jaw up off the floor, because it was just like I thought it was spectacular, to the point I was talking to Matt just before this briefly, and I'm like I was so excited going into this episode, because I'm like, I need more of this story, and that's exactly what I didn't get tonight, but that's fine, because we know we needed that background story. Like we have to understand it a little bit more, and at the same time tonight we're still left like, okay, how did the fire actually go down? Like, what happened? We don't know.
Yeah,
so those bits and pieces, we're still going to fill them in. So we'll have more in Dara too. I'm not worried about that.
Yeah. Is anybody playing spot who the Darksider might be in the witch crowd? Like, there was like a little part of me that's like, well, Mother Corrin, right? First of all, first Zabrak we're seeing on screen that's a female. It's like, I think it's maybe the first Zabrak we've seen on screen that's, you know, not in some form of like war paint. Did we get somebody else? I mean, I know in the games, in the cutscenes of the games. And
I'm trying to think. I don't know.
Yeah, which was just cool, I thought. And I always find it interesting, like, if you think about, like, the Night Sisters come together with the Zabraks, but the babies look kind of like Night Sisters. Well, they do look like Night Sisters. And then now you have her immaculately, although that doesn't count for this, because she, like, genetically made, you know, through the Force, manipulated those children into existence. So if I was the one who was carrying them, I'd be pretty annoyed they didn't have horns. But like,
okay, so
give me something.
If you were giving birth, I bet you'd be happy.
Fair enough.
No, I got to debunk you real quick. There was that one Jedi, I had to look it up, on the council in Phantom Menace. This dude.
Oh,
okay. Eve Koth.
Right, it's the hair that Eve Koth has. I'm not using to see Zabrak with hair, but I guess Corrin.
I wasn't sure. I wasn't sure if he was a Zabrak or not, to tell you the truth.
See,
no, he is.
That's why you guys, when you said that, I'm sitting here like, keep your mouth shut, because I'm not sure. I don't know. Is Zabrak? I don't know. I'm like, don't say it, and then they're gonna be like, you idiot. He's not a Zabrak.
I wasn't sure if he was or not, to tell you the truth, because I read a lot of the back lore on him, because his stuff's actually pretty interesting as far as why he stuck around to face Palpatine. But that is for a different show.
I'd also be real careful, Eric and I, whoever we want to call idiots. So like, it's a real glass house.
Yeah,
not made of Durasteel.
But speaking of Jedi, that Jedi and Witches encounter was extremely tense, and it was extremely interesting because, like, you know, we don't see them doing anything bad per se, like the witches. You know, they're just, you know, it's their kids and they want to raise them their way, and the Jedi are basically just like, no, give us your kids, like, get fucked.
I mean, they're
it's
a cult.
your choice.
Yeah, it's your choice to have. It's your choice, but we're gonna come back and burn this place down. So either like those kids are ended up on Coruscant. But yeah, it was very tense. And what I like about this show is it really the Jedi that we got in the prequels and all the other content. There's a bureaucracy to them, but there's like a little bit. That's really what you get, right? And then them all trying to like live by these Jedi tenets. But when you're watching the Jedi in this show, they don't feel like a Jedi that's familiar to you. Yeah. There is that degree. It's a different kind. Yeah, and there's a different kind of arrogance, right? Other than Master Soul and maybe Jackie, who's his Padawan, so naturally. But Jackie's a shit. No, but so like can't wait for that figure.
Queen of the sass, bro.
Yeah.
That's why I'm sitting here last week like, guys, ask me my favorite character. I want to tell you. It's Jackie. It was Jackie the whole time. I loved all of them, but I'm like, something about this little girl. Like, she's, well.
Yeah, don't open with that, bud. You got a mustache.
Yeah. But I will say those, I 100% agree. I 100% agree that, like, no, this is saying it.
It's fine.
But yeah, no, I 100% agree that like Soul seems to be the only one that we get. We've gotten Qui-Gon vibes from him the whole time. He's really the only one who's got that real pureness to him, and the rest of them have so far just felt very cultish. And like I think this is where that the Jedi start their downfall and everything essentially, and you see it through stuff like this. I think. So I'm
wearing my Squid Game hat in honor of Master Soul because there's no merch for me to have, just so everybody knows. Yeah.
Well, listen, he's easily going to be the first Black Series one I pick up when that comes out because he is quickly
he's
my
awesome.
favorite.
I mean, that scene, to go back to it, when he whips out his lightsaber, and like you saw a little bit of that in the trailer, but the way that he does it and the way that he connects with Osha is phenomenal, and there's such a tenderness to him. And again, like, beyond even Qui-Gon had a lot of empathy, and Qui-Gon really felt like what a Jedi should be. So far, we don't know enough about Soul, but he fits, to me thus far, like a perfect Jedi. Like, he has this empathy. You can tell that, like, he is in tune with the Force so far. We don't know what happened in that building. That he's in tune with the Force so far, but there's an element that he's willing to go that extra step emotionally and not disconnect fully, which I think is a really nice character nuance. And how about the de-aging on that guy in this episode? It was flawless.
Yeah,
it looked great, honestly. And while we're talking about him, I feel like we just gotta mention the stuff that we were talking about, or the three of us were talking about earlier today, was how JJ, who plays Soul, actually learned English specifically for this role. And yeah, and like honestly, his English is great like regardless. And then the emotion behind it, it's like he just kills the role. Like it's so good. I'm still blown away by just how good he's played this character.
That man needs to be a motivational speaker. He gets talking like that in front of a group of people. I'd be like, "You don't need the Force. I'll do it."
Yeah, something about him, something about that Soul. No, but the emotion. I think I caught that too, because knowing that he didn't speak English, it is very hard to act, and like so there must have been a lot of conversation around what that line means. So then to learn the language and have that talent, I think is exceptional, and really really cool. And he's quickly, Mike. I mean, everybody here is a part of the Yord Horde. I know that, but quickly,
not a fan.
Here's what before Matt says what he's gonna say, Eric. What I told Matt is that I agree with you. I'm not a Yord fan. I don't like him. I like everybody else, literally everybody else more than him at this point. By the end of this, we're all gonna be like, God, fucking Yord's the man. He is.
Totally.
He started off where it's like, all right, if there's one of them I want to fight so far, it's probably him.
Him lose too.
Like everything about him, it's like you just make me want to punch you in the face.
Yeah, but that's the point. It's that journey. Like by the end, or like you're gonna hate him, and there's gonna be a moment where he's got to sacrifice himself, and he's gonna sacrifice himself, and you'd be like, Yord ain't so bad.
So,
it makes sense.
The way he is right now, he's just like that Dudley Do-Good and got a very punchable face.
Yeah, no, he does. He does. And I'm just one thing I was thinking about, given I mean, I don't know what Jackie's age would be, but given that he's only been a knight for 2 years, they said, do you think it's possible that they could have been in training together? And I'll
Yeah,
tell you
I
Quite
think so.
possibly.
so like he
Yeah,
graduated a
probably.
little sooner, he started
Yeah.
sooner. But it just seems like their banter, like especially I gotta bring it up in our everyone's favorite shirtless scene, and she's just like, put a shirt on, Yord. And I
Yeah.
just I'm just like, yes, the way she delivered it was great.
Yeah.
But
Kylo
it's
Ren
like they have
2.0.
for exactly for like a knight Padawan relationship, it's kind of
Yeah,
it's very casual.
but
Yeah, but I think it's cool because I think they did train together. Like, I'm with you.
That's why I'm
Because she
saying I'm
even
like,
said,
but
yeah,
I gotta
yeah.
say,
She
so
was
you
like,
know, like,
Yord is Yord. Like when she was
yeah,
walking
yeah,
into the
exactly. It's like she
Yes,
knows
the way
she's
she said
known him
that,
for a minute.
honestly, like, Jackie definitely is like also going into my favorites for this because the sass behind it. So it's pretty funny.
It's like Jedi are not supposed to have feeling, except all Padawans agree. Fuck that guy.
Yeah,
Like that's
But then go
uh,
back like 5 minutes before. Permission to speak, Master, if I may speak freely.
yeah,
Like you're gonna speak anyways.
yeah,
he said speak freely. He never said stop speaking freely. All right, so that's totally his bad.
but but getting back onto this episode,
Sorry.
dude, no, you're good. So I was just saying, because I was actually kind of excited to talk about, like, yo, May flips a shit, bro.
Oh yeah, she's nuts.
Like, like that was some like like that, and I'm surprised Disney kind of go that dark route like
Seriously,
that.
I was
Like,
sitting there
it's just
watching.
like, well, I'm gonna go and do this. I'm gonna kill you. What, bitch?
Like, well, what are you going to do, May? I'll kill you.
Yeah,
Like
Yeah,
it
like,
just goes from
yeah.
like
I thought so. I had expected the fire to be like an accident type of thing.
I
I
think we
did
all
not
did.
think it was going to be like, I'm gonna fucking kill you. Like, say what?
Yeah, and she did it by burning the Jedi school brochure.
Yeah,
Like, it was like, now she gonna know where to go on campus.
it's fucking hilarious. But yeah, it was nuts, man. Because it was just like, I was we knew it was gonna happen because we knew the fire destroyed her family and everything like that. But just the way it happened, I was like, damn.
Yeah, no, and I like that. So the thing about May that's really interesting is the May you meet as an adult feels more conflicted,
Yes.
and I think the whole thing with that scene, there was not enough time, I feel like, for May to go and kill all those people. I
No.
think that something else was happening with the Jedi. I think maybe they struck at the Jedi reacted. I don't know, but
Yeah.
May is a character who has agency, and I don't think that she killed all of them and then is like, but the Jedi are going to die for it. Like, maybe in her mind she wouldn't have had to do it if it wasn't for the Jedi, but I don't feel like that is the trajectory they're setting up with that character. And I think that,
Yeah.
like, again, we don't know what happened in that room that killed all of them.
We don't.
And there was a lot of screaming. You heard the thuds, but then, like, why was Soul there so fast? The Jedi were there, or at least Soul was, which makes it
Yeah.
a far more interesting. Like, it's like we said, they gave you the full picture. It's from OSHA's perspective.
I got a feeling we don't find out like the actual story towards the very end of it, and we've seen so far with what we've seen from episode 2, especially with Master Torben taking the poison, saying I'm sorry. I definitely got the feeling that there is something that happened with the Jedi that caused some deaths
Yeah.
there, and that's where it leads. And
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
nobody's told OSHA that is the big thing so far. I think that's been a secret hidden that nobody's discussed so far, and I think that's why Torben did that the way he did, and that's potentially why May is going on this, Jedi Slaughter 24, basically.
Converse argument.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason that OSHA left being a Padawan, left the order.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe that's 16 years ago. She left 10 years ago. Maybe she found out. She had a vision. Soul kind of was like, all right, I got to break this down for you. Like, it wasn't our fault. They attacked us. We started to get into sort of a tussle, and then the ceiling came down. Like, that could easily be a thing as well.
Right.
But I don't think. I think that Osha, I think that she's naive to a lot of what happened, but I don't necessarily know that she's fully naive, because even when Soul said to her in, you know, the last episode, I've made peace with what happened, you have to. There's nothing to make peace with there if May's the one that caused it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, here's the
there's
thing too,
definitely
is that
something.
it doesn't have to be like black and white either. You know, she did it or the Jedi did it either.
Yeah.
It could be a scenario like, I'm thinking, you know, what if the Jedi are on the way to get the girls, and the fire starts, but the sister, like the witches, perhaps they think that the Jedi started the fire type
Yeah, that
thing,
could be it
and
too.
so then
Yeah.
that causes a conflict.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Yeah, well, I think that's, again, it's a mystery, and I like that we're all jumping to guesses here, and I like that even though they showed you what happened, it made the mystery more intense and more
Yeah.
like, you know, curious, and I think that that's, they're doing their job with this. You know, like we said, I don't understand why people aren't enjoying it, but I think like there's a lot of good here, and I think the only character in the show that needs to be a specific ethnicity is the Wookiee. So other than that, like, I'm pretty weird if he wasn't. No, but so like, this is our Wookiee friend. He's a 5 foot tall white guy. But no, but so you know, but so
This is Brad.
Yeah.
So far though, that the way they've kind of given him to us has been really cool. Like it's the first of his Wookiee. You know, we've never had a Wookiee Jedi before, obviously, and so it's like pretty geeked about it. But
they're
kind of
glad we got to see him in the robes too.
Yep. I got to stand up and look closer to my TV, but were the sides of his head here shaved? And
they were.
That was
actually
cool. That was super cool.
I was trying to figure it out because it had like a very bluish hue to it, and I was trying to figure out, all right, is his hair slicked back? Is it shaved? And it definitely looked like it was like shaved off on the sides, and he basically had like a Jedi mohawk ponytail.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I wonder if that was like a nod to the behind the scenes from Revenge of the Sith when they tried to do that type of hair for Anakin. I don't know if you've ever seen that behind the scenes. They basically tried to give him some crazy Jedi mullet.
Yeah, like that concept art. It's like a mohawk that has a ponytail. It's sort of like what's on top of Ki-Adi-Mundi's head, but just on her head.
Yeah, kind of. I wonder if it's a nod to that, but yeah, honestly, I still think all the Kilnok stuff. He looked great in this episode. Shaved head and all. I'm gonna need to go back and see if he still had the shaved head in episode 2.
Yeah, good call.
But I don't think he did.
I don't think he did. Passage of time, man. That's,
yeah,
you know,
exactly.
It's like he's been out there. Yeah, no, I mean, it's passage of time. I actually had 2 things I didn't like about the episode.
Ooh, okay, let's hear it.
Yeah, so one, I'm going to be honest, the score to me, I love the score, the first 2 episodes. The score felt a little cheesy to me this episode. Like, there were certain moments where I was like, that could have been a Star Trek episode score for like a, you know, like a happier episode. And then we're a house divided on this because I made a comment while watching it. I did not like that during the Ascension ceremony, the score had like singing. Like in it, like I don't know, it just felt out of place for Star Wars for me, unless it's like Duel of the Fates. With that said, those are such minor complaints, and I'm gonna rewatch this episode. So it was just, it was last week. I was like, oh my god, the score makes it feel so familiar but so different, and I don't think like Andor, even though it was a little more abstract, had a theme. Yeah. I don't think we're really getting a theme song here, like theme movement, if you will, here. And I'd like to have a little more of that because the music right now is flourishes, and it doesn't necessarily hit like a crescendo of emotion for me.
No, and I agree. You know, like it doesn't hit like Duel of the Fates or Battle of the Heroes or nothing like that. I thought it was cool how they had the singing in that episode, though, just because, you know, we've talked about already today how it was that very tribalistic, almost primal type of ritual. And, you know, looking back into real cultures in, you know, like Africa, early Europe, Scandinavian stuff, like that stuff's like very prevalent in those types of like rituals and stuff, like coming of age type stuff. So I think it has a really cool setting and like a real world type of vibe to it personally.
Yeah, that's fair.
No, and like you said, it doesn't hit like a, you know, a Duel of the Fates or nothing like that. But I thought it was pretty cool to kind of give it that feel to that.
And I have to
Anyways.
remind myself that it's its own time period, right? So they need to build up to what that sounds like. Like there's a specific sound to the prequels, there's a specific sound to the trilogy, and the sequels have a little bit of their own sound. It more harkens back to both, which is good. It's full circle. But I'm even thinking like the music in the animated series, the Ahsoka series, like Andor. It just felt a lot more like I was like, man, tomorrow I'm going to listen to when they release that soundtrack. Boba Fett, Mandalorian, the same.
The Bad Batch.
The Bad Batch, exactly. And this was a little bit more for me, just like that's okay. Like it beats. I know that was important.
Yeah, I gotta say the one that's hit the hardest in the last like 5 years, I think, has to be the Ahsoka end theme for me. Like that one. One was just
that was great.
That was
good. So mine is the classic Ahsoka theme that they played at the end of the series when you saw Anakin like walking over, overlooking her. But with that theme, I think Kevin Kiner, that was his Super Bowl. It was like I did Clone Wars, I did Rebels, I know Star Wars, I've done the movements, I wrote Ahsoka's theme. It's one of the most famous movements in Star Wars. And now I got the show. Hold my beer, light this piano on fire. Let's do it.
But yeah, so but I think we talked a lot about the episode. I think we could definitely wrap it up there and everything.
Scores.
Yeah, let's get into that. So Matt, why don't you lead us off? What do you give it?
I give it a 7.75 out of 10. I thought it was a really good episode. I liked it a lot. I liked that they're setting up the mystery a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I felt like last week left me like panting for more because of the episodes. Mm-hmm. This week, I love the context that we got. But the reason why I'm still panting for more is last week.
Yeah.
And like this was good context. We needed it. I liked the episode. But it didn't maybe it's because, as you guys know, I'm fighting the flu right now. It wasn't like a jump out of my seat, like, holy shit. And it doesn't have to be. I think it was better. My feeling about the two setup to the finale episodes of Bad Batch. I think we all do. That's pretty storied. Wasn't like that at all. I love the context. I love seeing more of the Jedi, how they interacted with the galaxy. I thought it was great. I thought the visuals were great, especially the scene where Mama is talking to the two girls and the sunlight's coming through the room. It was like a painting. Mm-hmm. There was something in this episode that I needed just a little bit more. And I think that as the show comes together, again, I may revisit that score. I felt like my 2 scores for those Bad Batch episodes never need to be revisited because of how we carried it through. But this one may need to get revisited by me as the story comes together. So I have a feeling there's going to be Easter eggs there that come back, or not even Easter eggs, overt things that were left out that are going to come back to full circle, and that it's going to make that episode even better for me. Yeah. But for right now, 7.75? 7.75.
Huh, that's pretty good. I mean, 7.75 is pretty solid. Anthony, what do you think?
It's an oddly specific rating. I'm gonna.
No. What is your rating? We're not critiquing my rating.
I didn't want to call it out, but it is pretty specific.
It is pretty specific.
I didn't want to go 7.5. It was better than that, but an 8 felt too lofty. 7.9.
Oh, dang it, man! I'm gonna go. No, seriously, I think I'll go with an 8. A solid 8 on this one. I agree with you on the aspect of last week. Definitely is what's creating my desire. But this week, it's exactly why I said before. For me, it is 100% needed for this story. You need to have this information. Otherwise, later on, it's not going to be as impactful. We're going to find out stuff about the twins later on that's going to be like, boom. Whereas if this hadn't happened, it just would be like, oh, well, okay, whatever.
Yeah. So sorry, go ahead.
A little bit more of a less exciting episode in some ways, I would say. So that's why I would go an 8. But I mean, Matt knows me well enough to know my personality, and I'm just shocked it wasn't a 10. I went into this fully expecting I'm gonna be like 11, 10. But an 8 is not bad by any means.
Yeah, I figured it slowed down a little bit compared to last week. Like we got last week, and I was knocked out of my seat. It was so.
I would have gone 11 out of
10. Yeah. By the way, we're all like, it doesn't top where they left us last week, and it's like, 2 guys tried to steal a Wookiee's air conditioner, and he snapped their blaster in half. You can't top that. You can't. Over his knee.
He's got a lot of fur. He's got a lot of fur.
Yeah, he does. And then. I myself, I'm actually
you don't see him panting like a dog. I'm just saying. He's got to stay cool.
Do Wookiees sweat?
That's
You would imagine so.
Sorry,
I don't know because
give us your
she
rating.
looks like it'd probably be pretty hot place to live. I don't know, but
sorry, Eric. Thanks for the talking head segment.
yes. But no, anyways, Anthony, I'm right there with you. It was an 8 for me. Last week was super hard to top, so I think this flashback episode comes in after a very tough act to follow. But it was really, really great, and I loved every second of it. I thought it was had some really cool vibes in it. I love the fact that it had like the very ritualistic stuff in it with the Night Sisters and everything like that. And then I think the full episode being a flashback, I actually really enjoyed. I wasn't sure like how I was gonna feel about it, if the whole thing was because it just kept going and going, and then at the end, it was like that gives us like a really good part of the backstory, and I really enjoyed it. So it was really solid in my opinion.
Well, and it was show don't tell. It wasn't. We didn't get exposition. So yeah.
And I'll give a second part of mine in agreement with that. Like when it was established, like a couple minutes into it or whatever, this is a flashback sequence. I can tell you right now, initially, I'm like, all right, hopefully it's 10-15 minutes, and then we get to the good stuff. But halfway through,
usually
I'm
that's
like,
what it is.
No.
Yeah.
I don't want that. Like stick with this because I'm in.
Yeah. And it actually went quick for me watching it unravel. I don't want to say that it was a slower episode. I think it was tough to come off the excitement of last week and then watching, where everything landed. It's a true episode 3. They've set the stage. They've given you the stakes. Let's dig a little more into the story. And again, I think this is a flashback, but I think I think we all know it's going to have bigger implications for what exactly happened.
Yeah, and I definitely think we'll see a little bit more as we go through the next episodes with it unraveling, flashing back, like kind of like revealing more of what happened, I think. So
yeah, how does she get to be with this Dark Force user or Sith, if you will? So, like, how does that happen? That's where this is gearing into. Like, dude, her family is gone. She is alone, and she does not know what's going on. You can, I think that's evident.
No, definitely, man. But only time will tell. We got
the next 5 episodes are an extended flashback, and then they just tell you there's going to be a season 2. Each episode is from a different character's point of view, straight through the Jedi.
Maybe that's why everybody's pissed off. They know something we don't. Like this, they know how it ends. But yeah, anyways, great episode. Loved it. Can't wait for next week. So. But now, guys, we get into the fun, usual part of our post review segment, which is the collector's corner. So now we gotta let our guests go first because we have manners. So Anthony, why don't you show us what you got to show off today?
I will actually go first this time.
Okay.
So gosh, I don't know, Matt. Actually, Matt, can you? No, I'm just kidding.
Nope.
So I have
you're on
so
the spot
many
now.
favorites. I have so many favorites, and this is always so hard, but this week I had to go with one that was a little bit more sought after, and for me at least a little bit more difficult to get. I don't know for the general public how difficult it was, but mine for this week I'm going with.
Ooh.
Oh, that's a miss in my collection. I want so badly.
I do not have one of those.
Is yours in its box?
Matt, you silly boy.
I was gonna say, I was shocked.
I was gonna say, did you finally take a leaf out of my book and keep them in there?
Hell no.
I keep the boxes for some, but no, I think this character. I've seen a couple people on various Facebook groups who weren't thrilled with this figure, and I don't, for the life of me, know why. I think, he's massive. He's like 7 inches tall.
Damn.
And he's an Ithorian. But everything about him. It's been fun trying to work him into pictures, so that's why I'm showcasing him here because, technically he's a character from Galaxy's Edge at Disney. If you have you've been, right, Eric? You've been.
No, I live in Florida, but I have not been over there since I got down here.
And it's the only one that's been to the Holy Land.
Okay, well,
it's gonna happen here in the future. I can tell you that much.
Hey, I'm gonna move on. I'm just kidding, Eric. But no. So
Listen,
in Galaxy's,
eventually.
in Galaxy's Edge, one of the it's for lack of a better term, it's a gift shop, but it's called
Yeah.
Doc Ondor's Den of Antiquities, and that's where you can buy all of the character lightsabers, and it's really cool. Sorry, this isn't a Disney ad, but I love Disney. So, anyways, yeah, and then this character also. The other cool part about him is, as I get it organized real quickly, he's comes with this.
Cool.
Phase
Cool
one.
weathered Phase 1 helmet. I took a shot I'm really proud of a few weeks ago with the Phase 1 Lieutenant that just came out in the Ahsoka 2-pack.
Yeah.
But I put this helmet on him and made him look like he was like
It was awesome.
a wounded soldier. It was fun.
Yeah.
Also comes with this sword. If either of you guys can shed any light as to the significance.
Can't say I got anything for you on that.
Is
bro.
that's not the Talzin sword. Never mind.
No, and it's because I mean, if you look at it in a timeline sense, it would be more sequels era because that's when Galaxy's Edge lies.
Yeah.
But I don't know. And then also, not one but two, holocron.
Oh, that's what I'm the most jealous of from that pack. It's like for Ant and I who take photos, that's like having props like that is just fantastic.
Yeah, so that one has been that one's been fun to shoot. I've got a couple ideas that I'm working on with him, but I gotta tweak a couple things. So stay tuned for more to come with Doc.
Nice.
Cool.
All right. Well, Matt, let's get you to go now, brother.
Awesome. So taking a page out of Mr. I'm Not a Committee's book, he made a really cool custom last time he was on. Mine's a head swap. My friend dyed the neck, which was really cool. Shout out to my buddy Jay Dakota Davis. But it's a Zabrak mercenary, just using a base body of Grief Karga and two 3D printed weapons I got from somebody somewhere at some time, just because there's not enough of this blaster, I think, out with the figures. But yeah, and I call him Brother Blood, and I'm working on a custom pseudo custom with some capes and stuff from Josh's Custom Capes to make his brother, who is Brother Bones, and have like a little Zabrak mercenary duo of former Night Brothers. So that's in my photos. They will come to light in the near future. I'm still working on some stuff, but I had a good 2 weeks of posts. People check them out.
You were working on a lot of stuff come out. You've been cranking it out.
Yeah, I the one post I just recently did has been getting some pretty good traction. So I've been one of the ones I recently did. So I'm holding off a little.
Your Kiadi Mundi one.
That's the one. That's the one. That was, and I mean that's Extreme Sets is fantastic for those that do diodes. Can't recommend them enough. And I both have some of them. And then I have, as we know, my friend Lone Wolf 3D prints props and stuff for me using Land Speeder Luke's files and paints them, and they always come out absolutely fantastic.
Nice, good shit. All right, well. Guess it's my turn now, huh?
Your turn.
Yeah.
Just
patiently waiting over.
So I got two I'm gonna show off, but one of them's got a story behind it because this is the one. The first one I'm gonna show is the one I initially planned to show off, and this is kind of in that Grail status for a lot of people. Actually, it's a little bit harder to find. I got this thanks to our good friend Mark, who is the godfather of the Black Series community, and it is the. Oh, sorry if you can't see it.
I have two of that. I have a couple of that figure. That figure hard to get.
This is actually really hard to get. That's why I said it is on that like borderline Grail status. That's why I got him in the protective case. Hence why it's shiny as a motherfucker. But yeah, this was probably one of the most difficult ones for me to get from the Clone Wars line. Actually, thankfully I worked out a thing with Mark and I got this. Love that one. Yeah,
I pre-ordered two of that figure originally, I think, and then when I just did that pickup that Ant knows about, one of my friends was offloading all his stuff. I snagged like 12
I know about it.
Yeah, I know. I owe you stuff. One of my friends got rid of his collection, and I grabbed a bunch of stuff for free. And I'm looking at one of the figures right now that was tauntingly in a photo I took last week. And I owe Ant 3 figures that I need to send him, and I owe him presents from when I went to Italy that are just literally sitting in a bookcase. So, Ant, my solemn vow to you from a debunk is those will go out this weekend. We can debunk it next week. Yeah, we heard it here. I put it on the airwaves. Ant gets an Ezra, a Hera from the old line, and a Fox figure. That's what you wanted, right? I think,
Yes, and that Camino Trooper. Throw that in
Yeah.
there.
Well. Listen, pal. They're re-releasing shit left and right. You're fucking with my investments.
They are re-releasing a lot, and I'm thankful for that because there are a lot that I still need to pick up. But the second one I have is a funny story, and Anthony, you better take note of this because you have children. So obviously I got little kids. I got a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old, and you better start if you're going to be an inbox collector like myself. You better make sure you protect those things a little bit better. Otherwise, they end up out of their case like this guy.
Oh no!
It's Antok's little R2 droid. It's nothing special. You can honestly get them for like $10 on like Amazon. But my son got into my to my collection the other day and busted that guy out of the vintage collection packet. I was like, son of a bit. First time
I always forget you snagged some vintage collection. I don't know why, but yeah, I was like, aiming at a 6-inch scale Antok droid. I was like, God damn.
I don't. They might have actually done that, to tell you the truth. I'm not sure, but I think it would have part of a set. Okay, but yeah, so I got a couple of. I still collect some vintage collection, but yeah, my son knocked it off my wall and it was just like, oh, cool, mine. So, pro tip to all you collectors out there who are also parents: figure out some safety measures.
Figure out.
But we need to get like an air horn. Yeah, we gotta get. He doesn't even sign out. It's just you and I talking to his toy collection.
It's the dad jokes to start taking over.
I know. It's
two dads, and a free man.
Yeah, but
hey, I know Hal would like to hear that.
Yeah. Speaking of collections too, I actually am super excited because this is something I want to talk about and try to hopefully get some people to go check this out. I was actually able to take part in this really cool thing last week. I did an interview with Swayu, which is like the premier autograph collecting destination featuring some of the biggest celebrities from Star Wars, Marvel, and stuff like that. And basically I did like an interview talking about like collecting some of my autograph pieces and stuff like that, and it should be getting put up onto their Instagram page here in the near future. You can check it out on their Instagram. It's at SWAU_official. And you can actually check out my interview there, and then also kind of like see some of their really great autograph pieces that they do have. They didn't pay me to do this, but I thought it was really cool. Kind of an interview to do because they are a really big company that does these autographs, and they do a lot of interviews with like the celebrities and stuff, and they're wanting to now talk to the collectors. So
hell yeah, it's nice. So, I was just thinking our sponsor through Eric is SaberMax, and then our unofficial sponsor is Zinn, because I'm always pounding these when I'm on camera.
Hey, you should be getting your Gory Comics decal soon.
Oh, yeah.
Because they were sent out last week.
Yeah, sure. So it's Christmas. So it's like
that's why I don't ask Matt. I just don't ask. I'm like, one day magically I'll go to the mailbox and
yeah, I know. I've told Ann I'm sending him shit since October, which is why you handle
84 years.
Yeah, which is why you manage the giveaways, Eric.
Listen. Even I'm a little bit rough on them sometimes, but honestly, guys, I think that wraps up our show for today. We had a really great episode of the Acolyte. Really happy we're able to do this and get fresh in our mind. We all had some really great Black Series to show off today, and then my son, I guess, was the one who wanted me to show off Antok's R2 droid.
The first piece of his collection.
Yeah, I think I actually said that to my wife too. I was like, I guess I'll just give this to him since it's out of its box.
Yes.
Did she like stumble back and she's like, "Are you okay?"
No.
Once Eric stopped crying, it was really easy for him to take that one in stride.
She's just like, that's Eric crying.
I said, thankfully, it was not one of my more rare vintage collection that I do have, because there's a few of them that I probably would have cried. But
that's a tough one to suck in. Like, it's okay.
I'm okay. But yeah, guys, so wrapping up the show today, we want to thank all you guys who have been watching the show with us, and we want to hopefully get you guys to follow us on our Instagram and socials. So if you can go to our Instagram at Sith Happens _Star Wars podcast. On Instagram, you can actually find the link tree, which has the links to our YouTube, Spotify, and our Amazon Music. So you can kind of listen to us on any of those platforms that you listen to. It also has our RSS feed. But yeah, I think that does it for us. Anthony, why don't you give all of our listeners a quick adios?
All right. Well, it was great being here tonight, guys. Thanks again for having me. It was nice discussing. I do have a 10-second moment of your time. I told you, Eric, I was going to do this, and I'm
Oh,
going to. Matt, I want to show you General
Oh,
Grievous
fuck you. I know exactly what you're doing.
and how unposable or how hard he is to really stand up. If you take a few moments.
and now we
Oh, having a
can't
little
get it.
trouble? Yeah. Oh, having a little trouble there? This is. Anyway, so this will be I'm Not a Committee's last
Yeah.
time on the podcast.
For those of you watching, Matt and I got into
I got debunked. I got debunked.
Yes,
So
this is a
that.
bit of a debunk. For those of you watching, Matt and I got into a discussion about this. I think it was the same time you were on, Anthony, last time, about the General Grievous figure.
Oh, it was
how
after, because it was when you got your battle damage one on that.
Yes.
One.
Yeah.
About how Grievous is like the most unposable action
Great
figure
ending.
ever. But yep, debunked.
So anywho, follow me. I am not a committee. I compose General Grievous.
And you can see it in all of his photographs. And if you want to see
I do have one more serious question, Matt. I had a couple individuals who have listened to the podcast who asked me, they see a striking similarity between you and Seth Rogen, not only in your looks, but in your voice. And we want to debunk, are you related to Seth Rogen?
If you could see the size of my apartment, you would understand that I'm not. But I have gotten that before, and I will absolutely take that. Sometimes I want to know where that was going. Sometimes people say Bert Kreischer, and I'm like, oh, fuck that. So
no, I had just chat with.
Are you gonna do the next show without your shirt?
It's on my OnlyFans. But
Black Series OnlyFans.
As everybody know, Matt has an OnlyFans where he does nothing but crush beer cans. It's called Only Cans.
Yeah. Actually, I just sell fans on it. All kinds of things. Paper fans, pole fans, you name it. I got it on there.
Oh God! But all right, Anthony. So once again, brother, thank you again for joining us today. Give us that plug. See, there you go. Give us that plug for your Instagram one more time, brother.
It's I am not a committee.
Good shit. And Matt, my boy, sign us off.
I will start the sign off. I can't fucking top what he just did, so I'll just say I'm Black
I'm
Series.
Only here once in a while, okay? I gotta make it good.
I would just say I'm Black Series Daily Desk, and my main man, I am not a committee, is invited back.
All right, you guys. Thank you for joining us today. I am Eric the Dadalorian. You can find me on Instagram at @the_Dadalorian_. And we thank you for joining us. This is The Way.